Dr. Rohana Mohamed, a consultant anesthesiologist and intensivist, is used to living in the fast lane. She shares with us how she balances her time to specialize and subspecialize in her field on top of making time for family and friends. Her advice and invaluable take in life would serve as an inspiration to all. So, let's watch on. Welcome to Ask the Boss, our third series of Ask the Boss. Today we have Dr. Rohana Mohamed, a consultant anesthesiologist and an intensivist at a private hospital in Kuala Lumpur. Welcome to Ask the Boss, Dr. Rohana.
Thank you for having me, Sarina. Okay.
As you know, Ask the Boss is a series about women. Our series for the first tranche of Ask the Boss is about women. So hence it is called Women at Work. And we celebrate women who have achieved a lot in their careers, in their chosen careers. And Dr. Rohana, being a consultant anesthesiologist and an intensivist, I'm hoping for Dr. Rohana to share with us her experience and how she got there, and to inspire especially the younger people out there on what it takes to be a specialist, to stay in their careers, the number of years it takes to be where you are right now. And I know that you enjoy your work tremendously.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, so let's start with why medicine?
Why medicine, yeah? Actually, it's not so much of one particular thing that, like the cliche thing, I did well for my SPM, hence I want to do medicine. I think it's a constellation of factors that ultimately it brings you towards medicine. So regardless of what you want to do in life, there are small things collectively that actually leads you there. So it might be a bit funny because I was the youngest child for 12 years in my family, and nobody bothered with me. So I thought, what can actually make people talk to me? So I thought, if I understand how the body works and what, like somebody's coughing and I know what they say, what's wrong with that. So probably that can carry a conversation. So that sounds pretty pathetic, but that's how I kind of got interested into medicine, just so that people will talk to me, because everybody likes to talk about their problems, right? Especially about health. So that's one of those things. And the other thing is, I've always been interested in how the human body works. Probably because my dad's an engineer and he likes to know how the machine works, but I like to know how the human body works. So all these things actually brought me to medicine. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
In school, Dr. Rohana and I went to school together.
Yeah, we know each other since Form 1.
Form 1. We've been in the same class.
We were like classmates, yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that in school you wanted to be a doctor. You didn't express it to your friends.
As I said, for the young ones out there, it's actually, you don't really know what you want to do in life, but small things, it adds up. And it kind of leads you, there's so many lines, but slowly but surely it leads you to that direction. So, when we went to secondary school, Komen Bukit Nanas, so, it actually, we went to the science stream, and then you get to know about all the subjects, and it gets more and more interesting. And all these things actually, it slowly but surely, it leads you to medicine. But during those times, Sarina, we didn't have much, jobs to think about. Like nowadays, people want to be influencers. What do you call this?
KOLs. They have a lot of
all
names.
These things,
creators.
all these jargons that I don't even understand. So during those times, it's either medicine or lawyers. You're a lawyer, so so you see. So, but Alhamdulillah, along the way, the more knowledge you actually get, it reinforces that this is the pathway that you want. So, that's what I think. It should come from within, rather than my parents have never ever, Alhamdulillah, they've never actually told me that you have to be a doctor, whatever. My mother just said that you just, if you don't want to study, it's all right now, but you must start learning how to cook. I was like, since I don't like cooking, so medicine was the way to go.
And you have a lot of passion for what you do. Dr. Rohana, if I can share with you, I had breakfast with her a few days ago, and she was working until 5 a.m. And she was able to meet me for breakfast at 9 a.m. And she had promised me to see me for breakfast. In fact, the day before, I asked her, "Are you sure you can meet me 4 hours after working for a good 20 hours, I think, before that?"
Yes.
You were working for many hours, but she could still do it. And I attribute that to the passion for your work. And it doesn't feel like work, right? If you love what you do.
Okay, I'm not that altruistic, Sarina, but the thing is, it's part and parcel of the training. So you actually get used to it once you've worked long hours. It does really help that you like what you're doing. You know, we have to be sincere in our work. We can't be doing it just for the sake of working and just getting the money at the end of the month. You know, you have to be. It keeps you going. And Alhamdulillah, I do like my job, and there is a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. And being an anesthesiologist, there'll be many patients throughout that day, and it sounds corny, but seeing that they had their inshallah they'll be well at the end of the procedure, you get that job satisfaction. And in regards to need of sleep, along the way, from the time we intend to become doctors, we will be trained to work hard, work long hours, hardly any sleep. You'll get used to it, actually, to tell you the truth. So sleep is actually subjective. It's just mind over matter, as we said that day. If scientifically, it's actually like a circadian thing, our hormones. And if you notice, in the afternoon, we feel like we want to go to sleep for a bit, and that's what we call power nap. And then after that 15-30 minutes of sleep, then you up and about again. So I guess even though I had only about 1 to 2 hours sleep, so knowing that there was an objective, I have to meet you. I've already made a commitment. I'm going to go and see you. So Alhamdulillah, I managed to see you then. And then after that, in the afternoon, after I've done my thing, I had my sleep half an hour, and then I drove my family to Port Dickson.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another story.
That was very surprising
story.
to see that you even went to Port Dickson after that. But going back to your work, anesthesiologist, you're an anesthesiologist. Can you just share with us a little bit about what you do? I know you're in the OT a lot, and you see all kinds of operations, all kinds of surgeons at work. That must be very interesting.
Yes, actually. Can I just tell you how I decided to do anesthesia? Well, actually, in medicine, there's a whole host of disciplines, okay? And each discipline can actually subspecialize. So, going back to the decision to become a doctor, I've always been interested in how the body actually works and functions, and anesthesia is the closest that you know to that knowledge. We really have to understand the basic physiology of the patient. Like, for instance, a physician, if they will learn everything and anything under the sun regarding the disease, but for anesthesia, we learn anything and everything under the sun in regards to how the normal human body works. So that's why when we manage the patient, we try to bring them back to normal post-operatively. We put them to sleep. It's just not about putting patients to sleep. We put them to sleep and we give them good pain relief. We manage all their medical problems, try to make it as normal as possible intraoperatively, because putting them to sleep actually causes some derangement, some disturbance in their physiology. Post-operatively, you want them to come back to as normal as possible for their before they had the operation. So then I decided to do intensive care because both of my parents actually passed away in the ICU. And I'm heavily influenced by my surroundings, my parents, how they brought me up. So, those personal experiences actually influenced me to do intensive care, because then we can manage the patient further, all the multiple problems, be it surgical, be it medical, and hopefully we can make them get better.
I suppose that discipline of anesthesiology covers, from what you've told me, you've shared with us, it covers the whole body. Like, for example, a gynecologist would be a specialist in just one area, a heart specialist in just one area, whereas as an anesthesiologist, you look at the whole body.
Yeah,
right?
That's
not just
so interesting,
one
right?
particular.
It's so fascinating, right?
Yeah, and that led you to being an intensivist. And an intensivist, you're basically the boss at the ICU, correct?
Okay,
right?
in a way.
Yeah, you make the call. How to manage the patient. As I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
A cardiologist can come in and give his opinion, but he doesn't make the call. If there is an intensivist at the ICU, you make that call. You can overrule another specialist. Is that right?
Okay. The other discipline will kill me if I say this wrongly. Okay. It actually depends on the ICU. Okay. Just to let you know, anywhere in the world, the intensivist can be a standalone specialty, or it can be a subspecialty. Like in my condition, I became an anesthesiologist before I became an intensivist. Same thing goes for a surgeon, a physician. They can become a specialist in their field, and then they can decide to go into intensive care, purely manage. They can do their specialty, still function as a specialist, but also become but dedicate a lot of their time in the ICU. So if it's depending on the ICU, okay, ICU can cover. It can be a general ICU, it can be a specialized ICU, whether it's a neuro ICU, cardiac ICU, general ICU, pediatric ICU. So at the end of the day, if it's an open system, this is a bit too detailed. The open system, the primary unit, what we call like the cardiologist, if it's a cardiac ICU, the cardiologist will be the main person who decides, okay? But if it's a closed system, whereby the intensivist is the one who actually carries the whole thing, as you said, that intensivist will make the decision, but we will do it collectively as a team. Nobody knows. The beauty about medicine is that you realize that you don't know so many things, and the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know a lot. So you feel so humble. Okay, so when there's a cardiologist around, there's a respiratorologist, see, it's a tongue twister, nephrologist or whatever around, we get information from their view, and we collectively make a decision. It should never be one person make the decision, but as an intensivist, we're supposed to know a bit of everything, so we try to guide to make a collective decision that suits best for the patient. Because a cardiologist probably will just know the cardiac part, but then he might forget. Like a cardiologist might say, I think we need to dry up the patient, but the nephrologist might mean we might need to hydrate the patient. So the intensivist will try to find a middle ground.
So that is a lot of specialists coming together in the ICU.
Yeah, a lot of egos.
A lot of egos and
tak adalah satu je. Just joking.
Making a collective decision with the intensivist making the call. Yeah,
teamwork is very important. We have to put our it's not so easy because these are all very clever people, but we have to put our ego aside and accept that each of us has a role to play, have our own knowledge, and we have to come in collectively to reach the best decision for the patient. Yeah, that's the beauty of ICU management, because usually the patient will come in with all kinds of medical problem. It will not be just specifically to the brain. It can be the brain, the heart, the kidney, the bones. It's very interesting.
And with all these disciplines within the medical field, how does a young doctor, fresh out of medical school, decide what to do? What sort of specialty to go into? Do they just decide, okay, I'm a lady and I think being a gynecologist would suit me most. There's a lot of money into it.
You'll be surprised that may be some of the basics of how they actually choose their final specialty. Well, the norm is that we actually ask them to go through the housemanship. It's a 2-year thing, and they have to go through each discipline, and that's where they get the feel from each discipline to know what suits them best. But now being a rat race and everybody want to be quick result, quick money. So sometimes, but some of them actually really know what they want to do. So they've already started taking the exams. They can actually take the exams during the housemanship year, especially for medicine, and part 1 or part 2. And then after that, once they're doing the medical officer thing, they're already halfway there, because they have like 4 parts. Part 4 is where they actually have to do the practical aspect. So, but there's 2 pathways. It's either is what we call the parallel pathway, where they can go overseas, and there's the local pathway, whereby they have to go through the master's program. But before they're accepted into the master's program, they have to do a few years of medical officer training. So ideally, once they finish their housemanship for about 2 years, they should go into a discipline where they're interested in. Like I wanted to do anesthesia, so after the housemanship posting, I chose to go into anesthesia medical officer. So that's where it started the ball rolling. Yeah. How do they know which discipline they want to do? Well, there's actually a funny mnemonic where they say, if you know everything, don't be angry with me. If you know everything, but you do nothing, be a physician.
I see. Okay, is that a joke amongst doctors?
Jokes among doctors, jokes even among medical students. If you know nothing, but you do everything, be a surgeon.
I see.
That's really bad, isn't it? Yeah. If you know nothing, if you know everything and you do everything, but it's too late, be a forensic doctor.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, those
that
are the
makes
kind
sense.
and if you love kids, be a pediatrician, something like that. So if you're like, but anyway, jokes aside, you actually know your trade. Once you become a medical student, along the way you kind of know your trade. Like some of them, they really love to listen to patient go rambling on and on about their social issues. Then for sure, you're going to be a psychiatrist, right? And if some of them they don't really like clinical work, and they like to be in the lab most of the time, so they'll be a hematologist or pathologist. So as I said, the decision to be a doctor and the decision to be the what specialty, all these collective experiences and your likes and dislikes, it actually lead you towards what you want to do. Okay, that's why as a mother, I seriously, please do not force your kids to do things that they don't want. You must allow them to understand themselves, and we try to embrace whatever it is that they want to do. Okay, don't be a typical Asian parents where you must be a lawyer or you must be a doctor or something like that. We must embrace what they like, and in fact, my mom actually told me, okay, tak nak jadi doktor, tak nak belajar, it's okay. At one point when I was tired studying, tapi jom ambil penyapu tu, nak kena belajar nanti sapu. Why sapu? Well, if you don't have a job properly, you just end up sweeping the floor or something. That sounds a bit terrible, but she just wanted to get the message home that you must know what you want to do. If you don't know what you want to do, it's a bit difficult, because then how are you going to cari duit nak makan?
Yeah, I think that's so important to have the education, and at least until Form 5, that's when you decide what you want to do, whether to go to university or to go into vocational school or to be something.
Yeah.
I worry nowadays because there is this it looks like there is a push amongst the younger people to not study. They find that going to school is a waste of time, and that you should just do whatever you want to do, because going to school and getting a formal education is not important. This has been going on for especially the last few months. Even a medical doctor has come out on social media expressing her worry about this, and she does a lot of social work and she sees a lot of kids on the ground, and this is what has been expressed: to not study anymore and to just go straight into making money online. So that is a worry, and being from the same generation, I'm with you in that you need to have education and then decide what you want to do with it. And your sons are doctors too, right?
My eldest, Alhamdulillah,
he's a doctor.
UM grad, local grad. And my second son, he's a UPM, fourth year. Yeah, Alhamdulillah.
And you have a daughter?
Yeah, my daughter is into economics. So I'm quite happy that, actually, to tell you the truth, because the in Malaysia is a bit difficult now for those in medical line. So I frankly, I actually discourage them to do medicine. But and I actually this sounds a bit hard, but I told them that they have to get it by their own merit. So hence both of them are actually in public universities, and they managed to prove to me that this is what they want. The difference is that between then and now is that now there's so many options, and those billionaires out there, they never finished their education.
But they went to Harvard.
Zuckerberg didn't finish. He didn't have a degree.
But he actually went to Harvard, and obviously he had. He's a smart person. He's had education.
But what I'm saying is that there are so many. We have to acknowledge that there's a lot of youngsters out there that did not finish their education, but they are making lots of money. There's so many YouTubers now. Even like, it sounds really like what kind of YouTube snippets are they doing? But it's making lots of money, and they are raking in the money. So, not saying kudos to them, but it is a way for them to make money. And if that is where, during our time we didn't have that, Sarina. So, now, and to tell you the truth, even if the generation now, they study, they've done the work, they might not be able to get a steady job. Even doctors nowadays are just contract doctors, and then if they don't get, the contract is not renewed, they are also jobless. So I'm not trying to say you don't need to study, but I can understand why people just want fast money nowadays, because they make tremendous amount of money. Am I not saying a good thing now? But the thing is,
it's a different perspective.
Yeah, we have to acknowledge. But it would be nice that in the long run, once your, what they say, rupa dah tak ada, no new silly things to do, what are you going to do? Is that going to be a lasting job? You can only go so far. You can only go so far doing silly things and making money. Yeah, probably if you're okay with 1 or 2 years of doing YouTube and whatever, all this being influencer is a short lifespan. So what I would like to advocate for the young people is get your education. Get your education regardless of what you want to do, but be knowledgeable about it. Because, all this fast money and all that, it can only go so far. It's not lasting, It's so satisfying when you have that education behind you, And so in the end, once you get older, what you say, it carries, not only it carries weight, you are saying something with knowledgeable. So as a Muslim, going back, the first thing that was said to our Prophet Rasulullah SAW is Iqra. Read. Right.
Our previous guest also advocates read. Read and read. Yes, that's such a key message in Islam,
that's what differentiates
isn't it?
us as a human being.
Yes.
We cannot run away. We cannot run away from acquiring knowledge. Okay? It doesn't matter. If you want to be, somebody, a lot of our youngsters play stock nowadays. Read, study. Okay? And be good at it.
You still have got to know numbers, right? When they play stocks, they still need to know numbers.
Be good at it.
And you'll be surprised. I don't know whether it applies to you, but for me, every day in my life, in my work, whatever I do, sometimes what I learn in Form 1 comes into the picture. All this knowledge along the way, from primary school, Form 1, Form 3, it just applies in your daily life. And of course, what I learned at university, it just exercises and it trains your brain to think in a certain way. And that will carry you through in your life. That is what I believe and why I really feel that you just cannot run away from a formal education. That is just so important.
Going to that, sometimes we can't run away because sometimes people are going towards informal education also because they find that it actually can still they can still make a living out of it. But regardless, study, read. That's very important. Okay, so that you'll be good in whatever you do. Okay, and especially so in the current climate, there are so many things that the narratives are controlled by outside. So you need to read and get to the core. Okay, there was, this is digressing, but so many fitna has been made about Islam, but when people start to read the Quran, they realize that, oh my God, it's like totally different than what was actually they perceive. So that's why read. When you all read and study, regardless of whatever you decide to do, you can make a living out of it, I think.
For sure. Knowledge will manifest itself in many ways.
Malaysians should study.
And talking about, going back to the medical field.
We've digressed.
Going back into the medical field and making money. I find that there are lots of, and of course, making money vis-a-vis social media. I find that there are lots of doctors who go into aesthetics, and they are young doctors doing a lot of TikToks. They did doctors and giving advice on the face, which I find is a very complex organ, right? The skin, the skin on the face. Can you share with us? Because I'm sure you've been in a lot of operations involving the facial features, be it plastic surgery or corrective jobs. What do you think of this proliferation of young doctors advising the public out there on treatments for the face?
Okay, going back to the new generation, this is not a bad thing, but the newer generation, they want fast results. Okay, doing aesthetics does not involve doing a specialty. It's actually you're interested in it, and you may go for courses, but it's not a recognized specialty. Okay, but it's very, very lucrative, and kudos to those who are actually really good in it. Okay, but again, there's no shortcut. You must properly study whatever specialty that you're doing, but you cannot. You must know your limitation. It is not a specialty in like plastic surgery per se. Okay, to become a plastic surgeon, that's a subspecialty. You must be a surgeon first. Okay, so you do have to do your job. Going through all those, becoming a doctor, becoming a surgeon, then become a plastic surgeon. There's a lot of years to that.
Yeah.
So,
and I remember you mentioned to me before, quite some time ago, that a doctor must have touched enough patients to go into certain specialty. It's not enough to just touch a patient or to be a doctor for a year and then be a specialist. You must have good number of years behind you. Just like a pilot, you must have X number of flying hours before you become a certain level of pilot.
I think as in any job, I think the more years you put into it, you get better and better and more experience. Again, same thing goes for a doctor. Combined with continuous learning, read, and also with your practical skills, all this come together to make you a better doctor. Okay, and but another important trait is that you must know your limitation. Don't make all kinds of claims just to I understand, because it's such a rat race nowadays. Everybody is becoming for instance, an aesthetics, and you have to stand out, do more TikToks, more crazy stuff or whatever, just to get attention. But please, we are still treating the patients. We're still managing people, so we shouldn't be making all kinds of claims that we can do this and that and just do a simple job. You must understand there are implications. We are still ultimately doctors, and doing a fast injection and all that, there are side effects to it, and you can't run away from it. You can't run away from it because these are patients. They come back to us if something's not right. Okay. You can't hide it under the carpet. They're humans, so yeah.
I suppose times have changed. During the time when I was practicing as a lawyer, lawyers were not allowed to advertise. But now
doctors are not allowed to advertise.
Yeah, but going onto TikTok, because I see a lot of lawyers as well on TikTok. So isn't that a form of advertising? It is, isn't it?
They actually if somebody were to make a complaint, they can get a letter from the ministry telling them they can't do this. But when there's so many out there, I think the ministry pun dah tak larat. I mean, they are like overwhelmed. Like, who are we supposed to, But it's supposed to be an indirect advertisement, like giving advice. So when you become viral, people want to know who's that doctor, where does that doctor work, something like that. Yeah, but again, as I said, if that helps you out in your career, so be it. But just make sure that you're sharing the right thing, you're doing the right thing, and you are knowledgeable about it, and you have the qualifications to do it. Don't go beyond your limits. Because you might, for a surgeon who has been learning the same thing, has been doing so many of those procedures, compared to a doctor who just went for a 1 or 2 months course and then already doing the same thing. That's pretty scary.
That would be scary. Yeah, a lot of difference, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So I suppose for those people out there, before you visit an aesthetic clinic, I'm also digressing a little bit. I suppose you have to do a lot of research on the doctor administering the procedure. To see how many years he or she has behind him.
All the doctors are actually registered under MMC, the Malaysian Medical Council. So you can see the registration, you can check. And all specialists are also registered under the National Specialist Registration. So you can see where they're coming from and how many years have been put in. It's all very transparent. It's just a matter of you want to check or not. And I think it's worthwhile to do, if you don't want to go through that, you can actually ask your friends or anybody who has gone to that doctor and do the homework a bit, because it is your body, your face, and everything. It's worthwhile. We also have the patients also have to do a little bit of reading, okay, just to find out.
So we've spoken a lot about medicine, about what you do. Can I ask you to share with us about your family life? Being a woman, how do you bring up 3 kids and working more than 20 hours a day? And I know at some point in your life you even went overseas to Australia to sit for exams. How do you manage all that? Where do you find the energy? Even after 30 years as a doctor? Or maybe about 30 years.
Okay.
I'm
not
revealing
telling them our age
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. How do you do it?
Okay.
I'm still working more than 20 hours a day and managing your family. And I know you have a fantastic family. They're also loving, and it seems to me like you did not spend all that time away from your kids. They've just grown up so well, so loving, and how do you do it?
Alhamdulillah. Okay. I think nobody does it alone. There's always a lot of support along the way, and it was a bit difficult. Because my mom passed away when I was 28, and moms are always our best supporters here. But Alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me with a lot of help along the way. I have a good husband, a very supportive husband, and my dad, in his own way, also he gave me the moral support. But I think the main thing is that the first and foremost, where your heart lies, you must know what you want to do. You must really know what you want to do and how you're going to go about it. And if you want to get married, the choice of your life partner is so important. It's so important because I see nowadays youngsters are divorcing left, right, and center. Because each of them are so independent. But I do wish that marriage is, if possible, we actually share what we want to do in our life. What are our goals? Are we going to be supportive of each other? It shouldn't be like, okay, I want to do this, goodbye. No, we really need to share our goals, what we want to do. So that's how you manage to get a partner who's willing to support you. Yeah, and also you need a lot of help for my kids. Like I send them to the Malaysia is very lucky. We can still send them to Taska and Tabika, whatever. And it wasn't an easy life, but they also understood that their parents are working, and the kids, they will understand. And it's not easy, but you just have to do it. It's a mind over matter, something like that. You just have to know that you want to do it, but you pray to God to give you help. And I managed to find last time maid wasn't so expensive, and have a maid that can help you out and things like that. And like now, my maid is with me for the past 15 years. And she's been very good. She's been like my psychiatrist, psychologist, secretary. She even occasionally, I go on her motorbike and she'll drive me around if I need some quick help. Yeah. So you have to decide what you want to do, and there's no two ways about it. And you just pray to God to give you a way how you're going to achieve your goal. But most importantly for me is, if you decide to have a partner in your life, make sure that the partner understands what you want to achieve. So when I did go to Australia, my husband was already a pediatrician, and it was hard, but he allowed me to go to Australia and work there for a while, and he looked after the 3 children despite him already being in private. So Alhamdulillah, I respect him for helping me out in that way. And when I went to UK to take my subspecialty exam, there was a moment he accompanied me with my daughter, and there was a moment when I was so scared I couldn't even eat. He had to actually physically,
Really?
feed me. Yeah,
Why
because
were
I
you
was so
scared?
scared. It was a 4 hours pure clinical examination in a northern hospital, Northumbria or something, near Manchester, up north again. So, but the going through that, it was really good. And I asked him once. I said, why do you continue to support me when initially I did fail? Never have I failed, but for the subspecialty, the part 2, the clinical part, I didn't make it. So I just said, it's okay bang, it's alright, this is as far as it goes. But he said, no, my wife is not a quitter, and you are a role model for our children. I do not want our kids to think that their mother is a quitter. You have to finish it all the way. So I feel so blessed that I have an understanding husband, and
That is something I totally share with you. If
yeah?
I can share, my own husband in my journey to become a doctor, not a medical doctor, but when I did my PhD, there were times when I really didn't feel like finishing it. It was like, why did I even start this? But my husband, he somehow worked the other way around. So whenever we used to go out, he will introduce me as, hi, this is my wife, and she's doing her PhD. And I would tell him,
Not so
why did you
subtle
have
push,
to? Why did you have to say that? Now I have no choice but to finish it. Then he said, of course you can finish it. But
Alhamdulillah.
for him to say that, I suppose he was quite happy that I was doing it, and in a way he was making me finish it. So they're our best cheerleaders.
Yeah, best cheerleader. So that's why I think, as they say, behind every successful man, there's a what do you call that? There's a woman behind,
and vice versa.
Vice versa.
You stopped working for a year to study the Quran. I find that very interesting. And if I can share
you
with
being my friend, you know everything about me.
Dr. Rohana understands the Quran. Each word of the Quran, she will say out
work in progress.
in
Work in
Arabic.
progress. Work in progress.
How do you even do that? I mean, to understand the Quran, and you took a year out to study and to come out understanding what it says, every single word.
Again, going back to Iqra, read. So actually, along the way, I think Sarina, once you've achieved a certain amount of success in your career, I think we will never be like, is this it? We shouldn't rest in our laurels and think that that's enough, because life is a journey, and it's a never ending strive to get more and more knowledge. And I think somebody said to me, I think our good friend Baya, actually, she was telling me, okay, you've achieved this, you're an anesthesiologist, you're an intensivist, okay, don't be so full of yourself, because do you understand what you're saying when you read the Quran and all that? And because our culture emphasizes a lot on tartil, tajweed,
not really understanding it.
So,
but is it not enough to just read the translation?
My trait is that I've always want to understand the basics. Like, I just want to understand the human form and all that. I need to understand. The translation is not enough for me, because I prefer to understand the nuances, and I believe that Arabic is actually the language in the afterlife, and I want to know if I can learn so much of all those knowledge, how can I not want to try and find out more if there's more to it? So actually, to tell you the truth, it actually gives you goosebumps when you understand the word for word meaning. Honestly, it does, because this, we believe that Quran is the verbatim words of Allah. Okay, I thought that becoming a doctor, an intensivist, looking after critical care patient, it makes me like also makes me closer to Allah. But actually, no, it was actually very, it's pretty scary because like nurses were like saying, oh, don't worry, Dr. Rohana is on call today. Patient will be okay. Actually, we shouldn't say that. It's all God's will whether the patient will survive or not. And I thought that probably I need to take a break and find out who I am. Where do I go from here? Is this the right way? I do believe I'm an advocate for people to actually take a break in their career and find out about themselves a bit more, get back to who they are, have a bit of me time, and find out what you want to do in life. Is this really where you want to go? And that 1 year break wasn't just Quran per se, but it was more to find out about myself and who knows you best. But your creator, right? And how do I know that? I just have to read I have to understand the Quran. So that's why I took that pathway for a while. And I thought that was one of the best decisions in my life. I think it made me a bit more complete. It fits my soul. And something like that. A long way to go, Sarina. Long way to go. Yeah.
Let's end there today. We have a lot of activities after this, but I hope to have you again. Maybe in future we can talk about something else. We can
Inshallah.
share a different aspect with the audience of Ask the Boss. Thank you so much for being here
My pleasure.
for me today.
Thank you for having me, Sarina.
She actually took a locum to cover her today.
Oh.
Yeah, at such short notice because I was away for
Actually
a
wanted
number
to-
of weeks. And
I wanted to withdraw, but she wouldn't let me. She
Yeah.
knew that I was going to say it, but Alhamdulillah.
thank you.
Okay, my pleasure.